Well, a very good afternoon on the 18th of August 26. I'm at Amulree Church here. Quite breezy, but that's typical from this direction of the crosswinds from Crieff and meeting into Strathbran. We'll wait till we get through the gustiness and try and get stiff westerly. Yes. Okay, a bit calmer here because even though the wind's coming from that direction, it meets the solid object and it's blocked and sent back away. I'm afraid we've got some bad news in regards to Amulree Kirk. Although it's not been decided yet, there is an extraordinary general meeting on the 25th of August which I will attend. The presbytery, that's Perth, Perth a lot. I think they're looking to close it. Church of Scotland are absolutely skint, just like every other organisation. No help at all from anyone. They gave away all their funds. They helped everybody in the whole damn world. They've got nothing left themselves. And we've lost all these churches down in Strathern. And we're now up, well, Dunkeld Cathedral won't close of course, but we've got a church in Dunkeld which may well close, and Amulree might close. You only need to go to every village in town, every village in town in Scotland, you'll find several churches are no more. Every community has lost their post office, their banks, their churches, what else, any amenities, but this would be a very sad loss to the whole area if this church closes. There's ample visitors come to Amulree from the world over. Many of them have ancestors who emigrated from this very spot out to Canada and the Carolinas and New Hampshire and Massachusetts and all the rest of it. Canada. I think I said Canada. I notice a lot of the visitors who arrive are just overwhelmed by the peace, tranquility and beauty of the church, its location. We'll have a cigarette, Andrew, and then we'll go indoors. We might be able to speak better out of the wind, actually. So here we are inside the church, and it's been a home from home for me for quite a number of years now. That said, I have to be perfectly honest, I have not attended any of the services for the last few months. Through one thing or another, it's just been just not possible. It's not excuses. It's just, I think in the springtime I ventured out onto the mountains to tick off so many locations I visited, and time is of the essence, not knowing how long the weather would be good enough to perform all these ascents. And I had to sacrifice the Sunday afternoons for coming up here. Although it's only once a month, decisions were made that, I just didn't attend, and I feel especially guilty from Sunday just past on the 16th of August. I always get an email invitation to the service, and I've got no idea how many people were in attendance. But certainly in the last visits I had here, perhaps back in March or April, March it was, Andrew, it literally was less than half a dozen. What was it? 1, 2, 3. Certainly less than 10 parishioners. And the minister who preaches at Dunkeld Cathedral and at Dunkeld will travel up for the service. If he's not available, there's always someone else who will take the service. But ever the fact of the matter is we don't have the packed churches that we used to, and we don't have all these pews lined up with families that at once upon a time would have been the case in this location. Certainly from my own background at churches, they're always well attended. I'd say probably up until about the 1980s I saw a definite change. And but even 20 years ago at Amulree Kirk, when I was attending fairly regularly actually, the services were always attended well, but most of the parishioners were, they were well past the retiral age, and sadly they're all gone now. They literally have all passed away. All these very familiar faces that I recall even at Amulree Kirk, no longer. And I dare say that must be the case here in Amulree. But the sense of loss to the community if the church closes will be immense. And because the Christmas the Christmas watch night service is always well attended. Christmas Eve, and packed out. You can't move in here. In fact, what year was it? 22, I think it was. I was up there at the rostrum doing a little speech, I think, from the chapter of the New Testament. Luke, can't remember what chapters in the book of Luke from the New Testament. But anyway, I was situated here, and there was absolutely no way of getting down. I had to end up squeezing past everyone down there and across. I made it up. And as people said to me after, well, you very well done. You were very articulate. Thank goodness it wasn't a Mercury retrograde at the time. So I'm feeling a bit saddened, and more so there's guilt and sadness because I just was unable to attend these last 5 services or 6 services, and 5 services, Andrew. And that's the first time I've done that. I've been pretty regular here since at least 2021. 2022. But the upkeep of the buildings, the church buildings, is fairly immense, as you could imagine. And even something as simple as making sure there's heating for the parishioners on a winter's day in here. Switch it on during service, and it's not cheap. And then there's cups of tea and cakes and stuff, but that's all, done voluntarily by the good ladies of the church guild, and I think most of them are elders. But everyone's come away from the church, and it's an incredibly sad part of our history, actually. I can't believe it's actually happening, or happened. If you can imagine all the major churches in Crieff which are now closed, completely closed now. You can't get married in the church, you can't have a service, for a funeral service, a christening, and you can't attend any of the church services because all the churches don't have ministers and they don't have a place of worship. Most of the funerals now take place at the Crieff Hydro, can you believe it? There's a celebration of life. It seems to be the new theme, a celebration of life, of the passing of an individual, held in a pub or held in some community place. Not the church. There's so many people who'd I go back, particularly back to the 1680s, so many people who lost their lives as a result of their faith. So we can't make any decisions on what's happening until this meeting takes place. And then the results of that will be, whatever's discussed will be put to the Presbytery in Perth. And it's ultimately them will make the final decision. But I know for a fact they'll close it because ever since everything was put to Perth, they closed everything. Because they want Perth to be the only place in Perth and Glenross with churches apart from Dunkeld, the cathedral. They haven't closed any of the major churches in Perth. Not to my knowledge, at least, I don't think so. Although also in Perth there's fewer and fewer church buildings. I think the last time it was a major cull on the churches was back in 1929 after the Great Depression. That was the main one, and then there was further ones back in the late 40s and again in the 1960s. But the worst has been the period since 2008. Since the last crash, it's just... I don't know if Church of Scotland had money invested in their own places and lost a lot of their money, but my understanding is that most of the church funds come in, and as soon as it comes in, it goes straight back out to help some poor sod thousands of miles away. And it's not sustainable for the parishioners to keep giving more to the collection plate, because as everyone knows in the UK, every family budget is pretty tight nowadays. So they can't continue to dig deep. Even something like the church fete or coffee morning, all particularly the ladies would be busy on the Friday and Saturday, the Thursday or Friday or something like, making scones and cakes and sponges and biscuits and all the rest of the stuff they'd make, and present them for people who have turned up to the fete to enjoy a cup of tea or coffee with some cakes or biscuits. But the very cost of making even a sponge cake nowadays, the time you buy the sugar, the time you buy the butter, the time you buy the flour and the eggs, all very expensive. The time you put your effort into making it and stick it in an oven, the cost of even home baking has gone through the roof. It's, if you stick something in the oven for 45 minutes to an hour, the cost of that is quite immense. It is. So there's no national lottery funding for churches that are closing down. There's no government assistance for churches that are closing down. And there's no, what's that, GoFundMe page for churches that are closing down. It's shocking. Now, as I said before, all the people who, the world over, who had got back on their feet as a result of the church charities, even if they've given 10% of what they got back, it might have made a difference. And you can't blame the ministers, because the minister is it's an occupation for them. That's the bread and butter. They come and present themselves in front of a congregation for a service, but they have to get some remuneration for it. And if everyone just puts in a couple of pounds into the plate instead of something reasonable, then the minister walks away out of pocket. It doesn't even cover his fuel costs, perhaps. And it's not being greedy. It's not. The minister doesn't walk away with the whole collection plate. It's put back in, and you'll get a proportion. So, I don't know. But this, if the building itself is then sold, all this will disappear. All the pews will be ripped out, and all the internal stuff will be taken away, and it'll be the end of a worshipping place. People who come from afar, the visitors' books full of names, they will be totally distraught when they turn up next time and find it's no longer open. It will be bought as a house. It will be turned into a residential place. That's what all the churches have as occurred. They've been taken over, gutted. I'll keep you updated on what happens afterwards, but I think by September, October time we'll have an announcement it's closing. I'm almost sure. I can guarantee it. I can definitely guarantee this is the end.